let me share something peculiar about quietness in our hyper-connected world. We exist in an era where nearly everything gets documented. Morning coffees, midnight thoughts, victories, failures, even our wounds wrapped in aesthetic filters. Yet, there's a tribe of people who remain deliberately invisible. They watch, they absorb, they understand, but they never share. You probably know someone exactly like this. Perhaps that someone is you. And here's the question that haunts everyone. Why? Why would anyone choose invisibility when the entire planet seems drunk on attention? But before we dive deep into this mystery, make sure to subscribe, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see social media and the people who stay silent on it. Most people assume non-posters are simply shy souls hiding from the spotlight, but that's dangerously superficial. Beneath that silence lives an entire universe of psychology, one that reveals profound truths about human nature, identity, and a quiet revolution against our culture's toxic obsession with being seen. For certain people, silence isn't absence, it's sovereignty. It's the radical act of controlling what the world doesn't deserve to access. Social media has fundamentally rewired how we construct our identities. It glorifies display, it worships noise. Yet those dwelling in the shadows often possess the clearest vision. They observe without interrupting. They contemplate before reacting. They analyze instead of jumping to conclusions. Research reveals something striking. People who post infrequently often demonstrate elevated levels of self-control, deep introspection, and emotional self-sufficiency. They're less vulnerable to the poisonous trap of social comparison and external validation. Translation: they're not desperately trying to prove their worth. They're exploring it, understanding it, owning it. In a civilization drowning in performance art, this is revolutionary. Because let's stop pretending. Most of what we broadcast isn't genuine communication. It's identity theater. It's an unconscious audition for acceptance. Every carefully filtered image, every calculated caption screams, "This is who I am. Please approve." But when you abandon posting, something fundamental transforms. Your self-worth detaches from digital applause. You stop translating life into captions. You start experiencing moments for yourself instead of for an invisible audience. This is the hidden psychology of people who don't post. They hunger for authenticity in a realm where everything feels artificially staged. They don't despise social media. They simply can't locate themselves within it anymore. This isn't about being anti-technology or anti-social. It's about refusing to compress your existence into digestible highlights. When you've witnessed how effortlessly perception gets manipulated, you start treasuring what cannot be posted. Silence, depth, raw imperfection, uncomfortable truth. For many, the decision not to post follows a kind of spiritual burnout. Perhaps they once shared everything until one day it stopped feeling authentic. They recognized that every time they posted something beautiful, an invisible pressure emerged to continually outdo themselves. They weren't living anymore. They were performing, so they quit. No dramatic announcement, just a gradual fade from the feed. But here's what people consistently misunderstand. Not posting doesn't equal not feeling. It doesn't mean indifference. Often, it signals caring too intensely about genuine presence, about true meaning, about protecting what remains sacred. Psychology identifies this as psychological ownership, the profound feeling that something belongs intimately to you. a memory, an experience, a revelation. When you post it, that ownership dilutes. The moment becomes communal property, exposed to judgment, distortion, even ridicule. So non-posters are essentially guarding their sovereignty over life itself. They keep their moments untouchable, intimate, pure. And maybe that's not withdrawal. Maybe it's a quiet form of liberation. Consider this. When did you last do something meaningful without the impulse to share it? When did you last laugh, cry, or accomplish something without immediately thinking of posting it? That reflex, that compulsion to display, isn't natural. It's conditioning. It's the product of years of likes, shares, and dopamine loops, training our neural pathways to equate validation with value. When someone exits that system, it feels like revolution, but it's also restoration. They rediscover the profound simplicity of doing things purely for themselves. Cooking without photographing, traveling without geotagging, feeling without performing explanation. In that sacred space, something awakens, self-awareness that doesn't require an audience. Not everyone who doesn't post operates from inner peace. Some are imprisoned by fear, fear of judgment, rejection, misinterpretation. Social media has amplified what psychologists call self-presentational pressure, the exhausting awareness of being perpetually observed even when you're not. For many, this is unbearable. They worry their words might be twisted, or worse, ignored entirely, so they retreat, not because connection doesn't matter, but because the price of visibility feels devastating. They want to be seen, but authentically, not superficially. Ironically, the quietest people online often harbor the most turbulent internal worlds. They're not absent, they're overflowing. They simply choose stillness over spectacle. There's profound philosophy embedded in that silence. In a world constantly screaming, "Look at me," choosing invisibility becomes radical self-definition. It declares, "I exist beyond your perception." They might scroll through others' carefully curated lives, nodding, smiling, sometimes aching, but they rarely project because they understand something crucial. Not everything you experience deserves witnesses. Sometimes life's most transformative moments, growth, grief, metamorphosis, happen quietly, unseen, unposted. When you've lived through enough private revolutions, you realize being unseen doesn't equal being insignificant. It's actually where authentic identity forms, not performs. Here lies the paradox. Social media promised connection, but often delivers intensified isolation. When you stop posting, you abandon chasing digital closeness and start rebuilding genuine bonds. You notice who checks on you without needing updates. You discover who remembers you without reminders. That kind of connection, raw, unbroadcasted, unperformed, feels heavier, warmer, infinitely more substantial. Non-posters inhabit that space. They cultivate relationships that don't require proof. They embrace unshared moments and let life unfold without converting it into content. This also reflects identity security, knowing yourself when nobody's watching. When you're comfortable in solitude, you don't need audiences to validate your existence. That's not arrogance, it's peace. Ironically, people who don't post often carry the most compelling stories, but they reserve them for when you're sitting across the table, not scrolling past them on a screen, because real connection to them isn't quantified in comments or hearts. It's in shared silence, in eye contact, in laughter that needs no witnesses. These are people who contain entire universes, who process deeply, observe relentlessly, and understand quietly. They don't need global applause for their existence. They just need to inhabit it fully, and perhaps, in a world desperately begging to be seen, their silence isn't weakness. It's a mirror, a reminder that not everything meaningful requires sharing, that sometimes the most human act is keeping something entirely for yourself. The longer someone stays away from social media, the more profoundly they perceive reality. Colors intensify, time expands, conversations deepen. Stepping away from noise makes everything authentic again. When you stop performing, you start experiencing. There's exquisite beauty in moving through life without documenting every breath. You're not obsessing about angles or filters or captions. You're simply present, fully alive, inside the moment instead of outside it. And that's something social media systematically destroys. People who resist the dopamine loop demonstrate what psychologists call a strong internal locus of control. Their worth and contentment originate internally, not from external approval. They don't need the digital echo of "you're enough" to believe it. Studies confirm that people who take extended breaks from posting experience measurable increases in emotional stability and life satisfaction. When your identity stops being constantly reflected back to you through screens, it solidifies. It becomes real. You're no longer editing your existence into something palatable. You're living it in all its chaotic, beautiful, unfiltered complexity. Maybe that's the real rebellion. Staying whole in a world that rewards fragmentation. We've confused visibility with value, assuming that to matter, we must be noticed. But genuine meaning doesn't need witnesses. Your most transformative moments, the ones that sculpt who you become, will happen without a single person watching. No cameras, no captions, no audience, just you. Non-posters understand this instinctively. They know privacy isn't loneliness, it's intimacy with yourself. When you stop broadcasting every thought, you start hearing your own voice again. Your worth doesn't evaporate when nobody's looking. It remains steady, like the hum of a quiet room after chaos settles. And maybe that's authentic confidence. Not loud self-declaration online, but calm self-assurance offline. Because ultimately, we're not meant to be performances. We're meant to be people, and those who don't post, they remind us of that truth every quiet, unfiltered, beautifully invisible day.